If your son or daughter committed last fall and you recently got a phone call telling your athlete that there is no room, there is no spot, the next 25 to 40 minutes are for you. And if your student athlete is a 2027 or a 2028, stick around. The back half of tonight is about making sure this never happens to your student athlete. Now, many times when I am talking with families, I always get them to understand that the days of rushing to make a commitment to secure a spot are done. And so I have a lot of athletes and families that I work with, and they are in a hurry and they are anxious. And I understand. But making a decision as rising junior or early in your rising senior summer, even the fall, could prove to be costly. Now, I want to go back to last year because I think it's really important because I hear the frustration. I mean, I see the frustration. I mean, parents are upset, they're angry, student athletes are confused, and we go at this constantly. But let's go back almost a year ago in the premier event of the year, which is in Jupiter every fall. Remember, go back and look. So many 2026 high school graduates were told during their fall last October that there wasn't going to be any room or their skill sets had not developed to the point where that the coaches felt that there was going to be an opportunity. And so they were told to find alternatives, whether that was junior college or lower levels of college baseball. February, you come into February. We were going through December last year. December 1st, a lot of rosters were being turned in, and there were a lot of cuts. And those athletes were the 2025 graduates that were freshmen in college, in some cases, sophomores in college. And when they got that news, on December 1st that they weren't going to be given a roster spot. A lot of anger, a lot of confusion. So, again, let's look back and let's learn. Now, let's go into the spring of 2026. And we saw the portal begin to take shape. We saw a lot of the graduating seniors were kind of confused, and now we're dealing with that. So we're dealing with courts that are giving a reprieve to the college graduates of May of 2026. Now, a lot of people are pushing back and saying, "But Walt, those athletes have not been grandfathered in." Well, as of today, that may be the case, but as looking through the court system, the NCAA is getting absolutely crushed, and I don't see that tide changing. So again, I have to ask you, when we start to look at this, what has changed? If those 2026 college graduates or 2022 high school graduates, however you choose to look at it, are allowed to come back, how is that going to impact not only the roster for this upcoming 26-27 season, but going forward, we now know that the NCAA Division II and NCAA Division I have committed to the fact that it's going to be 5-5, and a lot of the seniors of 2027 at the college level will be given an additional year or will be granted an additional year of eligibility. A lot of parents are not factoring this in. Their student athletes are high school graduates of 2027, and they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Where are all these opportunities? Well, this is a cautious approach by college coaches across Division 1, Division 2, and obviously things settle down through Division 3, and we still have not heard whether the NCAA is going to grant that additional year at the Division 3 level. But my point is, it's okay. Your student athlete has not been cut. They have not been put in purgatory. They're simply uncommitted. And so I think it's really important to understand that dynamic. Uncommitted. You need to understand that your status as a high school athlete today, if even if you do get cut per se with regard to you committed to a school and that you've recently heard that there's no room, okay, well then you've been cut, but currently you are uncommitted. There's no such thing as decommitting. I get a lot of parents that are saying, decommitting. Those are athletes that have been told there's no room, and they're reopening their recruiting process. And I think it's important to understand that designation. And so let's kind of move forward with your status is simply that of being uncommitted. Now, I want to give you a story about a young man, a family that I've been working with since 2022, 2023. Young man, Jake Finnegan from Jupiter, Florida area. And the reason why I bring Jake up is because he is going to be entering the University of Pennsylvania in the fall of 2026. He is a high school graduate in 2025. Now, a lot of parents will ask me about the postgraduate year or the gap year, which is very traditional, by the way. It's not anything new. But Pennsylvania deferred his acceptance for 1 year. This is a tremendous game plan by the Finnegan family. I think it was wise to understand the need, maybe from a physical maturation perspective, but whatever that is, I want parents to be aware that this does occur. So when you're dealing with a school that may have strong interest in your student athlete, but they may say our 27 situation is just so murky and we're just not clear. Maybe you should ask, is it possible to be a member of the 28 class? Would that help your recruiting class? Now, again, we get so enamored with the 5 and 5 and thinking, okay, I want to maintain my eligibility. But let's look at the bigger picture. If your student athlete was older, and let's say they wouldn't qualify if they did defer enrollment, what I want you to ask yourself as a family is the degree worth the change in plan? Meaning, if we defer enrollment, is this opportunity academically and athletically strong? And should we at least give this consideration? Many times parents will think, okay, there's no room at the 27, so they begin to look for alternatives rather than just saying to the school that you have interest in and that may have interest in you, but they might not have any room in the 27 class. Is it a possibility to defer enrollment, much like what the Finnegan family did here? Now, what I want you to begin to understand is the landscape has officially changed. This is not temporary. All of the questions that I received this week were kind of on the lines of, do you see this changing? Will there be any more changes coming? Again, I see this being a locked decision for a minimum of 10 years. Now, the political side, politics, Senate, Congress, all of that, I don't know how much push we're going to get from that, but part of their bill contains strong language that this is going to be a 10-year implementation. But even without Congress or Senate. I want families to know that you need to begin to understand that this 5 and 5 is not going to be temporary, it's going to be permanent. The age. Now, for every person out there that wants to start talking about 19 and who turns 19, think of it this way. You simply cannot graduate high school and turn 19 and then expect to be 5 and 5. If you graduate at 18 and 8 months, 18 and 9 months, you haven't turned 19, no matter how you want to spin it. So understand that college athletics are older, are older. And so, looking to be more, progress based in your decision making process, meaning don't be in a hurry. I have heard from so many families that work with recruiters, recruiting services that have made promises and they're not coming to fruition, and there's a lot of frustration. A lot of that has to do with not having a real, true understanding of what the realities are and how college coaches across NCAA's Division One, Two, Three, NAIA's Division One and Two, and junior college Division One, Two, and Three. Heck, I have had parents this week that didn't even know junior colleges had divisions. They just thought JUCO was just a standardized level. There's NCJAA, NJCAA Divisions 1, 2, and 3. California has their own unique junior college system, but junior colleges also has levels. The other thing, as we alluded to last week, here's a big part that parents need to hear when I say most colleges have some form of rolling admissions. Some it's standard operating procedure, others will make exceptions. I promise you, I've been doing this for far too long. When schools will get to talk about early decision one, early decision two, early action, RA, regular action, you also have to understand the rolling admissions part. I've seen many boys, I've placed many athletes. Connor Fennell graduated Londonderry, New Hampshire High School in early June. And after 2 weeks of graduating, he was seen by Jason King at Dayton and offered an opportunity, and he got into Dayton after having graduated. Carson Cormier graduated from Phillips Andover, went to visit Texas Christian University 2 weeks after graduation in 2023, and just was signed by the Toronto Blue Jays. But my point is, he went to TCU for 2 years before transferring to Illinois State. So every single parent that is frustrated because their student athlete is a rising high school junior, a senior, and they're about to start class, you need to understand the timelines that you see and you hear and you read. That's for someone else. Everyone else has to run their own race. Be careful of the rabbit you're chasing. Make sure that rabbit is going to the same destination that you're trying to have your student athlete end up at. Now, this morning, I had a great conversation with Brian O'Connor, 22 years at the University of Virginia, now 14 months into being the head coach at Mississippi State. Now, this is an actual quote from Brian this morning. We are still actively recruiting our 27 recruits, and they just started their senior year or are about to start their senior year. It's not too late. Sometimes those are the best athletes. And why is that?